Greetings and welcome to another impressions video here at Words About Games, and today we're going to be looking at Observation. Observation is a sci-fi thriller set aboard the space station Observation, a research station where something has gone horribly wrong. After the mysterious incident, Dr. Emma Fisher awakens to find herself without contact with the rest of the crew and must figure out what went wrong and, most importantly, survive. The twist in Observation is that you don't play as Emma, but rather as the station's artificial intelligence, Sam, whose memory core was damaged in the incident. While horror is a genre all on its own, there are many different flavours that make up the genre. There's the sheer visceral terror of a Dead Space, the psychological spookiness of a Silent Hill, the startling frights of a Five Nights at Freddy's, and more. While horror is a genre all on its own, there are many different flavours that make up the genre. There's the sheer visceral terror of a Dead Space, the psychological spookiness of a Silent Hill, the startling frights of a Five Nights at Freddy's, and more. So while Observation is definitely a horror game, it trades on evoking one emotion from you: creeping dread. There are no monsters chasing you, or psychological manipulation to keep you suspended in a state of fear. Instead, there's simply the nagging feeling that something is just ever so slightly off about your surroundings, which haunts you every moment with a sense of uneasiness. Sure, there are moments that crop up that put Emma and Sam in danger, but for the most part you're just exploring a seemingly abandoned space station. I have to tip my metaphorical hat to the people who created the station itself. Modelled after the International Space Station, the Observation is a mishmash of old and new technology. Some of its consoles and panels are very near futuristic, with touchscreen displays and laptops littering the station, where others are made up of coloured buttons and blinking lights that wouldn't feel out of place in an episode of Star Trek from the 1960s. It sets the stage for an incredibly eerie environment, helped in no small part by the exceptional sound design. While you'll spend much of your time in Observation alone, you won't ever spend it in silence. Even when nothing is happening and no one is moving, the station feels alive with its cacophony of background thumps, thuds, and the whirring of machinery, which certainly helps fuel the paranoia. Similarly, the soundtrack plays a huge role in keeping you feeling unsure of your surroundings, humming menacingly whenever it's required. At its heart, Observation is a puzzle game. As Sam, you'll work to try and keep Emma alive, solve problems, and figure out just what the heck happened to the station. It's quite cleverly designed to make sure you never feel too overpowered, putting you into the role of the helpful station AI, following commands that empower the human crew member to actually complete critical tasks, almost like you're the disembodied computer voice from most episodes of Star Trek. And I promise that's my last Star Trek reference. The game also intelligently sidesteps the tricky issue of players not knowing how anything works, thanks to the damage to Sam's memory core he's learning alongside you. Whenever you encounter a new puzzle for the first time, so is he. And there are all sorts of puzzles for you to solve in Observation, and many different ways to go about it. They're not terribly convoluted or difficult. Mostly they involve you performing a variety of tasks in sequence, responding to requests for information, or inputting numbers or drawing schematics onto a grid. There's just enough challenge to make them satisfying when you figure out how to do what you've been asked to, without them ever bogging you down and breaking the pacing and immersion of the game as you get stuck for ages banging your head against a wall. Most of them are logic puzzles. You're given a task, some basic information, and need to reverse engineer the solution from what knowledge you have available. Most of the time you'll know the endpoint and simply have to work backwards until you figure out how to find the solution, such as one puzzle involving you inputting coordinates into a communication terminal. You already know how to do this, all you have to figure out are the actual coordinates and how you go about finding them. There are a couple of puzzles that could be better explained and require a bit of trial and error, but nothing that'll stunt your progress for too long. For the most part, you'll spend an awful lot of time in the game's wonderfully designed menus. It might sound weird to say this, but Observation's UI is one of its biggest strengths. Almost everything you do in the game you'll do from a menu, and Observation's menus are sublime, slick, and incredibly intuitive. When you're not in a menu, you're tethered to a camera, either the static cameras dotted throughout the station or the spheres you can control for free exploration of your surroundings. The cameras control exactly as you'd expect. The spheres, however, are a bit too fiddly and difficult to control with any degree of accuracy. It's nothing too troublesome, but you'll probably find yourself bumping into everything whenever you need to fly around in one of them. It's also incredibly easy to get lost while piloting, thanks to the low field of vision and the 360 degrees nature of navigating a space station with zero gravity, which can be annoying. I found myself frequently getting turned around and struggling to find my way to the next objective, an issue compounded when you need to go out into space with even less landmarks for you to navigate by. All of this is wrapped up in a deliciously compelling story that will constantly have you wanting to know what happens next. The core mystery of what actually happened to the observation is strong, and usually finding answers will lead you to even more tantalizing questions. Both Emma and Sam are incredibly strong characters thanks to a deftly written script and some brilliant voice acting, and exploring the station yields audio logs that deepen the backstory and flesh out both the protagonists and the rest of the observation crew. Observation is a great narrative adventure that will leave you constantly wanting to see what happens next, thanks to some great twists and turns, a compelling central mystery, and 2 excellent performances. The station itself is incredibly well designed, with the visual and audio design setting up a tremendously spooky atmosphere that ensures you'll never feel wholly comfortable without resorting to cheap horror cliches. In short, this is one adventure I could wholeheartedly recommend. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave us a comment, like, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got tons of awesome videos coming every week, including review impressions, indie game of the week, debate-driven top 5 lists, video essays, and our weekly podcast where we discuss games, gaming culture, and the games industry. We also stream 3 times a week at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. But most importantly, have a fantastic day.